The night was cold and quiet on the lonely planet of Arcanus 7. It was a faraway colony, with only a few humans living there. One of them was a man named Raylan. He lived alone in a small wooden cabin near the edge of the forest. People said he liked silence more than company, and maybe they were right. Raylan didn't talk much, but his eyes always looked like they were waiting for something. That night, as the stars shined bright above, Raylan sat near his fire, drinking a cup of hot tea. He was about to go to bed when he heard a strange sound. It was soft, like a cry, but not human. He stood up slowly, his ears sharp. Then he heard it again. A soft, broken sound coming from the forest. It was not a wild animal. It sounded like someone was in pain or afraid. Raylan grabbed his coat, his flashlight, and a small energy knife, just in case. He stepped outside, and the cold air touched his face. The forest was dark, with tall silver trees dancing in the wind. He followed the sound, step by step, moving carefully. Then he saw it, near a big tree. In the shadows, someone was lying on the ground. Not just one, 3 figures. He moved closer and lifted his light. His breath stopped. It was a woman. Not human. Her skin was pale blue, with small glowing lines running down her arms. Her eyes were closed, and she looked weak, hurt. Next to her were 2 small alien children, holding her tightly, shaking from fear. The boy looked maybe 6 years old. The girl, even younger. Raylan didn't know what to say. The woman opened her eyes slowly. She looked at him, scared, but didn't move. Her lips trembled. She whispered something in a voice so soft, Raylan almost missed it. "Please, don't hurt us." Raylan dropped to one knee and said, "I won't, I promise." He looked around. The forest felt wrong. Something was near, and then he saw a dot in the sky above. A dark drone floated quietly. Its red lights scanned the trees. It was searching. Raylan's heart beat faster. He knew that type of drone, a hunter-class seeker, not from the colony. Someone sent it. And it wasn't here to help. He turned to the woman. "We have to move." Now, the woman looked unsure. She didn't trust him yet. Raylan didn't wait. He lifted her gently. She was lighter than he thought. The children followed, holding her dress tightly. He ran through the trees, moving fast but careful. The drone moved closer, its lights flashing. Raylan saw his cabin ahead. Just a little more. He opened the door, pushed them inside, and shut it. Quietly, lights off. He covered the windows. The drone flew past, scanning. For a second, Raylan thought it would stop, but then it moved on. Silence. The woman sat on the floor, breathing hard. The children sat beside her, tired and scared. Raylan looked at them. He had so many questions. "Who are you?" he asked softly. The woman didn't answer. She was shaking. He brought her some water and a blanket. The girl, the youngest, looked at him with big glowing eyes and said, "Is he nice?" Her brother nodded. "He saved us." Raylan gave a small smile. "You're safe here. I won't let anyone hurt you." The woman finally spoke. Her voice was low and broken. "My name is Zira. We were running. We had nowhere else to go." Raylan sat down near the fire. Running from what? She looked into the fire, her eyes full of pain. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she said, almost in a whisper, "They want my children, not me, just them." Raylan frowned. "Why?" Zara shook her head. "Because of who their father is." The room fell silent again. The fire cracked softly. Zara looked at Raylan. Her eyes were tired but strong. "They will kill my children. Or worse, please, don't let them find us." Raylan felt something inside. He had seen many strange things in his life, but never a mother this scared. Never children this quiet. He nodded. "You can stay here. No one will find you." "Not while I'm alive." Zara closed her eyes. For the first time, she looked a little less afraid. Outside, the night moved on. But inside the cabin, something had changed. Raylan wasn't alone anymore, and in the cold woods of Arcanus 7, a strange and dangerous story had just begun. Raylan had not slept. The cabin was quiet, but his mind was loud. He sat by the window, watching the stars. His eyes kept drifting toward the small room where the alien woman and her children were resting. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face again, scared, tired, but brave. He had many questions but no answers. Who was she? Why were they being hunted? And what did she mean when she said, "Because of who their father is"? The next morning came slowly, like the sun was afraid to rise. Raylan made warm food, simple soup. The cabin smelled better than usual. The boy and girl came out first, eyes still sleepy. They didn't speak, just stared at him like he was some kind of strange creature. "Food's ready," he said gently. The boy helped his sister sit. Raylan handed them wooden bowls. The girl smiled. "A little, it's warm." The boy looked serious. "We haven't eaten warm food in days." Raylan was quiet. He didn't ask why. "Not yet." The mother came out last. Her blue skin looked pale in the morning light. She had tied her dark silver hair back, and though she looked tired, there was something royal about her, like someone who once stood tall in front of crowds. Raylan handed her a bowl too. She took it, silent at first, then spoke softly, "Thank you." That was the first time she'd said it. Her voice had changed, still gentle, but stronger now. Raylan nodded and sat across from her. "I think we should talk," he said. She looked at him for a long moment. Her golden eyes didn't blink. Then she gave a small nod. "My name," she said slowly, "is Zira." The name felt like it carried weight, like it meant something. Zira continued, "I'm not from your part of the galaxy. My planet is far and full of war now." Raylan listened, careful not to interrupt. "I once lived in a golden city," she said. "Tall towers, peace, music. But all of that ended when he came." Raylan leaned forward. "Who?" Zira looked down at her children. The boy was drawing something in the dust. The girl was humming softly. "Their father," she said, almost as a whisper. "A leader, a war maker. He wanted control. And I became part of his plan." Her hands shook slightly. She placed the bowl down. "I escaped before he could take my children. I ran across systems. I hid in broken ships. I slept on dead moons. And now, here we are." Raylan said nothing for a while. He finally asked, "Why come to this planet? Why here?" Zara's eyes met his. There was something behind them, something strange. "I saw your signal." Raylan froze. "What signal?" "Your cabin sends out a weak pulse. Maybe you don't know. But it has a unique code, old Earth language. It says, 'Safe place for the lost.'" Raylan's eyes widened. He had set that code long ago during his lonely travels. He never thought anyone would actually find it. It was a message he left for himself, in truth. "A dream. I came, hoping it was real," Zira said. "I had no one left to trust." Raylan stood up and walked to the window. Outside, everything looked normal, calm. But the sky held secrets. He turned back. "That drone last night. Was it from him?" Zara nodded. "He's searching every planet near this sector, not for me, just for them." She looked at her kids with soft eyes. "He wants to use them. Their blood, their gifts. He wants to build something with them. Something terrible." Raylan stepped forward. "Then we don't let him." Zira looked surprised. "You believe me?" Raylan gave a short, dry laugh. "Lady, I just helped a glowing blue woman and 2 half-alien kids escape a hunter drone in the middle of the woods. I'd say belief is no longer my biggest problem." Zara smiled. A real smile, small, tired, but full of something new. Trust. Later that night, Raylan fixed the outer scanner on the roof. He made sure the alarm worked, rechecked the generator, and added stronger locks on the door. Inside, Zara helped the children sleep. As she pulled the covers over them, her daughter whispered, "Do you think he'll stay?" Zara kissed her forehead. "I think," she said softly, "he's already chosen to." She walked to the door and looked out at Raylan, who was working with a laser tool under the stars. For the first time in years, she felt hope. Raylan woke to a sharp alarm cry that cut the quiet like a knife. He jumped from his bed, heart pounding. Red lights on the cabin wall flashed, motion near the north tree line. Outside, the sky was still dark, a deep violet before dawn. Thin mist crawled over the ground, hiding shapes and shadows. Raylan grabbed his coat, the old energy knife, and a short pulse rifle he had never needed until this night. He ran to the children's room first. The little girl, Leary, was sitting up, eyes wide. Her brother, Kao, stood at the window, fists clenched. Zara was already beside them. She met Raylan's eyes. No words were needed. Fear tied them together. "Stay silent," Raylan whispered. "Remember the practice." Over the last 2 days he had taught them a hiding drill, just in case. He never guessed they would use it so soon. The children crawled behind a false wall panel Raylan had built. Zara followed but stopped in the opening. "Come with us." He shook his head. "I must see what's out there. Seal the panel." The hidden door slid shut. No sound, no light. The cabin looked empty again. Raylan crossed the main room and pressed a button beside the front door. A tiny camera feed opened on the display. At first he saw nothing, only drifting fog and tall silver trees. Then a shape moved. A single figure walked through the mist, slow and steady. Hard metal plates covered its body. A bright strip of red light glowed down its helmet like a single watching eye. A tracker. Raylan's pulse quickened. One tracker alone was bad, but it meant a larger force waited nearby. Trackers were scouts, hunters. That marked targets for pickup. The figure stopped 20 meters from the cabin and raised a small sphere. The sphere spun and hummed, sending waves through the air. Raylan's monitors blinked, scanners jammed. He could no longer see what the machine saw. Raylan slid the pulse rifle strap over his shoulder and moved to the back door. The plan was simple: distract the tracker, draw it away from the cabin, buy time for Zara and the kids. He opened the rear door as quietly as he could and stepped into the night. Cold air bit his face. His breath fogged. The woods felt alive with hidden eyes. Raylan kept low, circling behind the tracker. Dry leaves crunched under his boots. He cursed the sound. He aimed the rifle, took a slow breath, and fired one clean shot at a tree trunk to the left of the metal hunter. The pulse blast hit the wood and showered sparks. The tracker's red visor snapped toward the noise. It pivoted its head, mechanical and precise, and started walking that way. Raylan moved in the other direction, deeper into shadow, keeping trees between him and the hunter. His heart hammered so loud he feared the machine might hear it. Suddenly the tracker stopped. Its helmet tilted as if sniffing the air. Then, instead of following Raylan's decoy, it turned back toward the cabin. It knew. Raylan swore under his breath and broke cover. He sprinted, leaves flying, and shouted, "Over here!" He fired 2 more shots, bright blue pulses that scorched the ground near the tracker's feet. Metal rang where one bolt grazed its armor. The machine spun, raising an arm. A thin beam of orange light blazed from its wrist. The beam sliced a branch above Raylan. The branch crashed at his heels. Raylan dove behind a boulder as another beam carved the stone, spraying hot fragments. Heat washed over him. He peeked and squeezed the trigger again. This time his bolt struck the tracker square in the chest. The machine staggered but did not fall. Smoke curled from the dented plate. Raylan's rifle wind power cell almost empty. One shot left. The tracker lifted its arm. Light gathered, brighter than before. Raylan knew it would not miss twice, but then a roar split the air. Engines. Raylan glanced up. Through the fog a heavy shuttle descended, lights blinding white, thrusters shaking the ground. It bore the warlord's crest, a black sun overcrossed. Blades, the tracker sent a signal. The shuttle answered with a deep metallic horn. Doors slid open. Figures in dark armor stood ready. Raylan's stomach dropped. One tracker was trouble. A boarding squad was death. He ran for the cabin. Inside, Zira heard the engines and felt the walls tremble. She held her children close in the dark space behind. The panel. Kaio's small hands gripped hers. Leary pressed her face into her mother's shoulder. Footsteps thudded outside. Metallic voices spoke in a language the children did not know but feared. The front lock hissed, and a heavy punch rattled the door. Zara closed her eyes and whispered a prayer to stars she had not seen in years. The door burst inward. Raylan barreled through the back entrance at the same moment. He slid across the floor, kicked over a table for cover, and pointed his rifle at the first soldier stepping through the smoke. He fired his last bolt. The soldier fell, more poured in. Raylan reached for the energy knife, ready to fight with bare hands if he had to. A loud crack shook the cabin, the false wall splitting. A soldier had found it. Raylan shouted, "Zira, run!" The panel shattered, revealing the hidden space. Metal arms dragged Zira and the children out. Kaio kicked, Leary screamed. Zira fought like a wild storm, but there were too many. Raylan tried to reach them. A rifle stock struck his temple. Pain flashed white. He hit the floor, vision spinning. Through the blur he saw Zira's eyes filled with fire, not fear. She yelled something he could not hear over the ringing in his head. Then the soldiers pulled her and the children toward the shuttle. The tracker pressed a stun rod to Raylan's chest. Darkness swallowed him. The night was no longer quiet. Engines roared, shackles clicked, and the sky above Arcanus 7 burned bright with stolen hope. Somewhere in deep space, far from the quiet trees of Arcanus 7, Zira sat in silence, hands chained, heart burning. The cold metal walls of the prisoner chamber hummed quietly as the ship moved through the stars. Her children were locked in a different room, just a wall away, yet it felt like 1,000 miles. Zira stared at her reflection in the steel floor. Her hair was messy. Her face had bruises, but her eyes, they still held fire. Across from her sat a tall man in armor. He wore no helmet. His skin was pale gray, his eyes dark as ash. A deep scar ran down his cheek. His name was Commander Varn, and he served the one Zira feared most. "You always run," Varn said softly. "But you never hide well enough." Zira looked up slowly. "You shouldn't have come for me. You'll regret it." Varn laughed once. "Not you, Zira. We came for the children. You're just the bonus prize." Meanwhile, Rayla awoke. In pain. His vision swam as light poured through the cracks in the wooden roof above. His head throbbed from the blow, and blood stained his shirt. But he was alive. Barely. The cabin was torn apart. Walls cracked, furniture smashed. Smoke still hung in the air. A burned boot print lay near the shattered panel where Zira and the kids once hid. Raylan sat up slowly. His ribs hurt, his hands shook. "They took them," he whispered. "They took them." He stood, swaying like a broken tower. Then he saw it, a small silver tracker disc, forgotten on the ground. Maybe dropped by a soldier. He picked it up. A tiny red light blinked. "Still active," Raylan muttered. "Which means I can follow them." Back on the ship. Zara single quotes S chains rattled as she leaned forward. "Where are my children?" Varn leaned back, relaxed. "Safe, fed, watched. You should be grateful. Soon they'll be reunited with their father." Zara's voice turned sharp. "He's no father," He's a monster, Varn shrugged. He's a ruler now, a powerful one. And the blood your children carry is the key to unlocking the empire he dreams of. Zara's fists clenched. He didn't love me, he used me. And when I said no, when I tried to leave, he marked me as a traitor. Varn smiled coldly. You chose a simple life on a dead planet. Hiding in dust, sleeping under trees. You're not a queen anymore, Zara whispered. I never wanted to be a queen. I wanted to be free. Varn stood and turned toward the door. You always had fire, Zara. That's why he picked you. And that's why your son is special. He paused. You never told him, did you? That his blood is half warlord, half starseer. Zara's eyes widened. Don't touch him. Varn grinned without warmth. Too late. Flashback, years ago, on her homeworld Zara once stood in gold and jewels, a crown on her brow. She was young, proud, and blind to the war behind the smiles. The man she married was charming at first, Lord Kale, a warrior and leader. He told her she was powerful. He gave her gifts, poems, stars in her name. But when the wars began, she saw the truth. Kale did not want peace. He wanted a future where everyone bowed. Even their unborn child would be part of his plan. So Zara ran, pregnant and terrified. She left everything behind, riches, fame, titles, and became a ghost in the galaxy. Now, years later, her past had caught up. Present time, Raylan powered up a small stolen shuttle. He'd never flown one of these newer models before, but he was smart, angry, focused. He used the tracker disc to lock onto their path. The coordinates lit up. Sector 9B, forbidden space. Of course, he muttered. Where else would monsters hide? He pushed the thrusters and blasted off. In the mirror, he saw his own reflection, bruised, tired, but filled with fire. Something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Back on the ship, Zara sat alone again. She closed her eyes and whispered something in her ancient tongue, not a prayer, but a promise. She remembered the forest, Raylan's cabin, his quiet eyes, his protection. He didn't have to help her, but he did. And now he was out there somewhere, coming for them. She believed that. She had to believe that, because if not, everything was lost. The galaxy thought they were gone. The warlord's men believed they had won, that the stolen mother and children were locked away forever. But they forgot one thing. Raylan was still alive, and he had nothing left to lose. The stolen shuttle tore through the edge of space like a broken knife. Alarms beeped, wires sparked. Raylan sat at the controls, sweaty and silent, following the last signal from the tracker disc. He didn't know if he would reach them. But he knew one thing. If they were still breathing, he would find them. Not because it was his job, not because it was the right thing to do, because they were his now. Meanwhile, on the prison ship, something unexpected happened. Zara sat quietly, eyes closed, pretending to meditate. But she was listening. Every guard had a rhythm, footsteps, habits, routines. And tonight she heard something new. A hiss, a pop, a broken door, a whisper. Zara. She opened her eyes. Raylan stood in the shadows, his coat dirty, face bruised. A stolen blaster in one hand. Zara almost couldn't breathe. How did you? Later, he said. Where are the kids? 5 minutes later, alarms screamed. Red lights spun across steel walls. Raylan, Zara, and the children ran through back corridors, ducking under pipes and through vents. Soldiers shouted behind them, but Raylan's map was clear. A service pod. Hidden on the bottom deck. They reached it just in time. Zara threw the boy and girl inside. Raylan jumped in after, slammed the hatch, and hit launch. The pod blasted into darkness. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the girl, Leary, looked at Raylan and said, I knew you'd come. Raylan gave a tired smile. Took me long enough. 2 days later, a border colony. Pod landed on a small mining colony near the edge of neutral space. Raylan paid a fixer to forge IDs and fake papers. Zero was now listed as his wife. Children were officially theirs. They were no longer refugees. They were a family on paper. In name. In lies. But somewhere deep inside. Maybe not just in lies. The plan: disappear in plain sight to avoid scanners. Raylan told the fixer they were resettled colonists, new workers, coming to help repair the power grid. The colony accepted them. No one asked too many questions. Zara wore simple clothes now. No more silver or silk. Her alien glow was hidden under layers of cloth. Raylan shaved. Cut his hair. Looked like a farmer again. They moved into a small prefab house near the center of town. The kids were enrolled in school under new names. Every morning, Zara cooked real food. Every evening, Raylan helped the boy fix an old drone. They were blending. But inside, everyone knew it was only a matter of time. Late one night, Zara and Raylan sat on the porch watching the stars. The kids were asleep. It was quiet. Then Zara asked, "Why did you come for us?" Raylan didn't answer right away. Finally he said, "Because I couldn't stop thinking about you, about them, about what it meant to matter to someone again." Zara looked down. "We're not safe yet." "No," he said. "But they believe. We're a family now. That gives us cover. Maybe a chance." She nodded slowly. Then almost shyly she said, "You're good with them, the children." "I never had any of my own," he said. "Didn't think I'd be the type." Zara smiled faintly. "Maybe you were waiting for the right ones." Raylan looked at her. There was something different in her eyes now. Not fear. Not sadness. Warmth. Peace never lasts long. 3 days later, a message buzzed across a private channel. A simple sentence: "Warlord Kale has entered this sector." Zara's face turned pale. Raylan read the words and stood up. He didn't panic. He simply said, "Then we do what families do." Zara looked confused. "What's that?" Raylan smiled. "Protect each other." Asterisk. It started with a whisper. Not in the stars, not in a battle, but in the marketplace. A quiet, dusty morning on the colony. People moving like ghosts, buying, trading, walking in circles. And somewhere in the noise, a whisper broke through. "Did you hear? The new family doesn't seem local." Raylan didn't hear it at first. He was too busy helping the children fix a cooling unit outside their prefab home. Leary was holding a screwdriver. Kao was explaining how coolant worked like space blood. Raylan laughed. It was real laughter, the kind he hadn't known in years. Zara watched from the window. She smiled. Her arms crossed, hair tied back, sleeves rolled up like she belonged here. But smiles don't stop shadows. And that morning, the shadow had a name: Joran. The informant Joran worked in the colony registry office. Quiet, pale, forgettable. He noticed things others didn't. And one day, he saw something strange. The ID chip Zara used to sign in for school duty flickered just once. A glitch. A bad forgery. He checked it again later. No match in the main system. Not even in hidden records. She didn't exist. That same night, he broke into the colony's private channel and sold the data to the wrong kind of buyer. The message that changed everything. Somewhere across space, in a cold golden palace, a warlord received a report. Subject: Zero, located. Neutral colony. Coordinates attached. He didn't speak. He didn't shout. He just stood up. And smiled. Back on the colony, that night Zara couldn't sleep. She stepped outside and looked at the sky. Too many stars. Too quiet. She could feel it. A change in the air. A pull in her bones. Like the galaxy had turned its face toward them again. Raylan came out behind her. "You feel it too?" Zara nodded. Then a low beep came from inside the house. Kio ran out, holding Raylan's old tablet. Dad, someone's trying to access our home system. Raylan grabbed it, eyes scanning the screen. He stopped breathing. Unauthorized scan detected. Source, Colony Admin Terminal. Zara said one word, cold and clear. Betrayal. The escape plan, they had 10 minutes. Maybe less. Raylan grabbed emergency packs. Zara pulled the children close. We run now, he said. No debate, but where? Zara asked. The mines, Raylan replied. They're deep, unscanned, full of tunnels, old tech. Nobody checks there. They slipped into the dark streets, moving like shadows, but someone else moved faster. The soldiers returned. They came in a black ship, no lights, no sound. Like death with wings. Elite guards stepped out. They didn't knock. They kicked the door. Open. The house was empty. Raylan's ID card sat on the table. Snapped in half. The warlord soldiers said nothing, but they began searching, because they knew. Prey never runs far. In the mines, the tunnels were old, dangerous, cold, but safe. For now, Zara sat with the children. Ko's hand held a small, glowing cube, his favorite toy. Leary curled against her mother's side. Too tired to cry. Raylan walked the edges, setting traps, scanning movement. When he sat down beside Zara, she whispered, "You should have left us long ago." He looked at her serious. "And lose the only family I've ever had. Never." Zara stared at him. There, in the dirt and shadows, in a place no map cared about. They kissed. Soft, slow, real, not out of romance, but survival. Connection. A promise. Unspoken. I will fight for you until the end. But the end was already moving far above. In the control room of the black ship, the commander received a transmission. The informant, Joran, had one final message. They're hiding underground. I want my reward. The warlord replied with 2 words. No witnesses. Joran's screen turned black. The bombs began. Explosions rocked the mining fields. The tunnels shook. Zara grabbed the children. Raylan held the escape pack. They ran. No time to think. Just run. Behind them, rocks fell. Flames flashed. The ceiling cracked. Zara screamed as Leary slipped. Raylan turned back, lifted the girl, and pushed forward. They reached an old vent shaft. Crawled. Clawed. Until light poured in through a broken grate. They emerged, covered in dust, into cold night air. Alive. But just barely. Final scene, from a distance. The colony burned, and somewhere above, the warlord watched from his command screen. His eyes locked onto Zara's last known image. Let them run, he said. But next time, I will come myself. It began in silence. Not the silence of peace, but the silence right before a storm. The kind of silence that comes when someone has nothing left to lose. Raylan stood on the edge of a broken cliff, wind rushing through his coat. Below him, the remains of the colony smoldered. Behind him, the mountain tunnels where Zara and the children now hid again, deeper than before. Beneath the ruins of the old mining complex, he had one weapon left. One chance, and no backup. Stars above flickered, then dimmed, because he was coming. The warlord himself. A flash from the past in another life. Raylan was a soldier. Before he became a quiet man on a forgotten planet. Before the scars, he knew how war felt. How it smelled. He had sworn to never fight again. But some promises are meant to be broken. Especially when they stand between monsters and children. In the tunnels, one last goodbye. Zara placed her hand on Raylan's chest. You don't have to do this, she whispered. Raylan shook his head. Yes, I do. He handed her a small device, a trigger connected to a cave collapse system. If they break through, you close it, you run. I won't leave you, she said, her voice trembling. You won't, he replied. You'll carry me. She looked confused. Raylan leaned forward and pressed his forehead to hers. You'll carry me in them, he whispered, glancing at the children. Zara closed her eyes. Come back to me, Raylan smiled. I already did. The sky split open. The warlord's ship landed like a falling god. Thunder, fire, and rage. Raylan stood alone on the scorched platform. From the ship stepped Kale, tall, armored in black and gold, face sharp like a blade. His eyes were cold, cruel, ancient. And behind him walked 10 soldiers, no helmets. No fear. Raylan raised his weapon. Kale raised one hand. The soldiers stopped. I expected more, Kale said, voice smooth. A simple man with simple bones. I'm the man who took your children from you, Raylan replied. That makes me dangerous, Kale smiled slowly. You are not their father. Raylan took one step forward. I am the one who fed them, held them, and bled for them. I'm not just their father, he said, voice like iron. I'm their future. The final fight, it was not fair. 10 soldiers. One man, but fair doesn't matter when you fight for love. Raylan moved like thunder, using every trick he had. Every scar-earned lesson. He dropped the first. 2 soldiers with precise shots. A third fell into the burning crater. He took hits. Blood soaked his side. But he stood. He never stopped moving. Kale watched with mild interest, as if studying a wild animal. He pulled a blade. The fighting got close. Too close. He reached Kale. Blade met blade. Metal screamed. Meanwhile, Zara's choice down below. Zara felt the tunnels shake. Liri cried. Kale held her. Zara held the trigger device in her hand. One press, and the path would collapse. Safe. But she couldn't press it. Not yet. She could feel Raylan above, his heartbeat echoing through her bones. She whispered, Don't die. Not like this. The turning point. Raylan's blade snapped. Kale's gauntlet crushed Raylan's shoulder. He dropped to his knees. Kale raised his sword, ready to finish it. You're just a man, he growled. Raylan coughed blood and smiled. I'm a husband, he whispered. And that makes me more than enough. He hit a hidden button on his belt, behind Kale. Raylan's last trick activated. A stolen energy core from the old mine. It exploded. Light, fire, heat. Kale flew backward. The mountain shook. Aftermath. Zara ran into the smoke, ignoring the flames. Calling his name, she found him under broken steel, alive, barely. He opened his eyes. You pressed it? He whispered. She laughed, crying. No, you did something stupid again. I do that a lot. She kissed his forehead. You idiot. My idiot. 6 months later, a new colony. Far from war. Zara teaches alien history. Raylan fixes broken drones. For farmers, Kio builds things. Leary sings. They are not running anymore. They are living. One morning, a local asks Raylan, So, who are you really? Raylan smiles. I'm just a man, he says, who married an alien woman no one wanted. He looks at Zara and the children playing in the field, and somehow ended up with everything I never knew I needed.